by public vow to follow Christ. Anjali Toppo.
Lord, you have called me, here I am.
Jennifer Lindo.
Lord, you have called me, here I am.
Kushbu Sareng.
Lord, you have called me, here I am.
Shandolo Izum.
Lord, you have called me, here I am.
My dear sisters, Anjali Toppo, Jennifer Lindo, Kushbu Shoren, Sanjalo Uzain, what do you ask of God and of His church?
During these years of our formation, we, Anjali Toppo, Jennifer Lindo, Kushbu Soring, Shantolo Islam, have studied the rule of life and have lived among the Sisters of Providence. We came to know more about our vocation and we want to respond to God's call. We now humbly ask you, Father, that we may dedicate ourselves to God and His kingdom and make our temporary profession in the religious community of the Sisters of Providence, founded by Saint Luigi Scrosoppi.
All of us together, thanks be to God. Reverend Fathers, Reverend Sister Provincial, the members of the Council, sisters, brothers, family members, friends, little well-wishers, and teachers. Today we are all present here to witness, to pray, and to bless this 4th-year Sisters of Christ who have just now come forward and said, "Here I am." Indeed, blessed is that day, that hour, that moment, that month, and that year when Anjali Toppo, Jennifer Lindo, Kushbu Shoren, and Sanjalo Isum heard the call of God in the depths of their heart and decided to follow God's call. The very moment God, in the inner depths of their heart, heard the yes of this poor little sister, God rejoiced. And God came out with a response. That day He said to all 4 of them, with 1 John chapter 4 verse 4, He said, "Now you belong to me." With Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1, he said, "Now I have called you by name and you are mine." And he said by Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6, "Now I consecrate you for myself." And then he said in Isaiah 43 verse 4, "You are from today very, very precious to me." My dear sister Anjali, Kushbu, Jennifer, and Sanjalo, the day the Lord called you by name and said, "You are mine," and you responded to him with a very loving and living response. Before you could march forward, the Lord marched forward to you, what he says in Jeremiah chapter verse 1:5. "Even before you were conceived in your mother's womb, I knew you. And even before you could born, I have kept you apart. I consecrated you because I want to make you a prophet to the nation, a sister to the congregation of the Providence, and then a missionary in God's kingdom." And God has said in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 7, He has entrusted a mission to you, which is only particular to you, unique to you, and belong to you. And with that, He gave you a call, and you, like Blessed Mother, said, "Yes, I am ready to march forward in this call." And this call of Jesus was not an ordinary call. It was a call of responsibility. It was a call of discipleship. It was a call of relationship. It was a call of sacrifice. It was a call of dedication. It was a call of commitment. It was a call where you make a vow and a promise. It was a call of obedience. And it was a call of your faithfulness to God. And to this call, you have marched. Prepare yourself for past 2 years. And you have presented yourself to your novice mistress and to your provincial in all aspects of life to write and say, "Here I am." In 1 Samuel chapter 3, God called and said, "Samuel, Samuel." In the same way, the Lord called Anjali, Jennifer, Kushbu, and Sanjalo, and you said, "Here I am." That call was repeated here. What a witnessing call when you so boldly open your mouth and directly you told God, saying, "Yes, here I am." It was a bold step. It was a challenging step, leaving behind everything, marching forward to say yes to Him. And that yes, God had shaped you. He has shaped you to serve Him in particular. You and I are not a mass production. We are not accidentally made. God has very carefully and detailed each and everything before we could be conceived in our mother's womb. He knew what He was going to make of us. He knew where He's going to launch us. He knew where He's going to take us. He knew where He's going to plant us. And all these things are slowly getting enfolded in our life, and will be enfolded more when we walk this journey. When we walk this journey. And in the shaping process of yours, God has not completed it yet, is still in this progress of shaping you. And in that shape, the word shape, God has first blessed you with the spiritual gifts, by which you became a prayerful person, and because of which today a commitment has come to God. The second one of the shape is an edge. That is your heart, filled with interest, filled with talents, capability, ability, all sorts. God has put it in your heart, by which you will be serving Him. And then with the A, He has brought an ability in you, by which you have seen, yes, I am capable to make this journey. And then God placed in you with B the personality of Anjali, Jennifer, Kushbu, and Sinjalu. And now He's going to fill your life with experiences. That's the last word of your shape. You have a lot of experiences in your life by becoming a religious. Many of us have witnessed and seen people making vows, people making pledge, people making promises, people making commitment, people giving dedication. But there is a difference between an ordinary people and a religious. An ordinary person can make a vow, can make a promise, can make a commitment, can make a dedication, can make a pledge, yet he or she may keep it or may not fulfill it. But when a religious person takes a vow, makes a promise, makes a pledge, commitment or pledge, these are all interchangeable words, meaning the same thing, that we are marching forward for a religious act. And this vow and promise of mine becomes an obligation. And my vows and my promise is not to any person, it's not to an individual, but today your vows and promise, which is shortly you'll be making, is to God the Father, to the Son Jesus in the power of the Holy Spirit. That means to a trine God. And this God, the very moment you take a vow and make a promise, will make a shape in you. He'll make a shape in you, and He'll walk every journey with you. My dear sisters, you have heard the gospel of today, the Good Samaritan. First of all, Jesus is a Good Samaritan par excellence. He has seen the wounded people on the street. He has seen the wounded people on the roadside. And He came down and He lifted every wounded people. He bound their wounds. And not only that, He also carried them on His shoulder. And this Jesus, the Good Samaritan, today invites you and me, and especially four of you, by saying, go and do likewise. Go and do likewise. And this invitation for you and for me to go and do likewise is not something in abstract, but in a reality. Not to a thing, but to person and to people. That He spoke to the mouth of a lawyer who came and asked him, who is my neighbor? And Jesus made him answer through His own mouth by showing the parable. And the lawyer answered him, saying, the one who showed mercy. Today you and I are living in the midst of a neighbor, the one who is in need. And the neighbor, the one who is in need, we cannot identify and differentiate with material position, neither social nor racial status, but anyone who is in need. There is no category of people called non-neighbors. There is no category of people of such type. Every person who is in need and in front of you stand out to be a neighbor. And God first being a very good neighbor to all of us, and indeed today to this four sister present here. And this view which St. Luke gives of discipleship to the form of a neighbor in relationship with love. He says love, if it is empty, then it is miserable and it is meaningless. But a love which is filled with life and with relationship, it is filled with honor, blessing, dignity, and identifying love. My dear sisters, brothers, and all those who are present here, today we are witnessing four young sisters in front of us, sacrificing everything: family, friends, near and dear ones, properties, ambitions of life, hobbies of life, and all other avenues of life. They're denying everything, taking up a cross just to follow Jesus in their life. As someone to whom they have fallen in love as person and now as candidate, and today with the formation they have known him all the more. And in the booklet you have seen, they wrote a quotation, Songs of Song, chapter 3, verse 4. I have found the one on whom my soul loves. Indeed, God has loved you and will still continue to love you because He has chosen you. In John 15:16 we read, my four of you and all of us, we did not choose God, God chose us. And He has appointed us so that we may go and bear fruit in plenty. Any person chosen by God, filled with responsibility, filled with talents, grace, and blessing, he or she chooses not to bear fruit in his or her life is killing God in his or her life. God is not to be killed in one's own life, but God needs to be distributed through our life, through our living, through our mission, and through our ministry. Alexander the Great one day was walking on the road. A poor man who came to him did not have the courage to lift his hand to ask alms in begging, did not have the strength in his eyes to look up to Alexander and ask something. But in a feeble voice he said, Excellency, can I get something from you? Alexander the Great took out a few gold coins and gave it to that beggar who was asking the alms. One of the courtiers who saw Alexander ran to him and said, Master, if you had given him a copper coin, that would sufficiently enough for his needs. Why did you give him gold and waste so much? Alexander replied to one of his courtiers, the copper coin would sufficiently fulfill the need of that beggar, but the gold coin is mine own giving. Is mine own giving that does not fulfill my need. I give it freely. My dear sisters, Alexander gave us a sign of a copper coin, giving in abundance and giving in fullness. In John 10:10, God also gave you a life of abundance and in fullness. And today you are giving back to God in that giving what you have received. A gift of your own personal self. That is the highest form of gift. A person can give to God by dedicating oneself fully, freely, without any coercion, to live and to die for Christ. Yesterday evening, you were presented with this beautiful habit and a crucifix which will always be a part of your life. Galatians 2:20 says, if I live for Christ. If I die for Christ. Whatever I do it for Christ. By putting on this new habit, you have given a new identity to yourself. You have brought a new name to yourself. You have brought a new baptism to yourself. You have brought a new confirmation to yourself that today if I live for Christ. I die for Christ. And whatever I do it for Christ and not for any person. Today my heart, I give it totally and surrendering to God with an undivided heart of myself. I will never divide my heart for any person, for anything. But if my heart will be only for the Christ. And that is what symbolized yesterday when you received that crucifix from the hands of your provincial. You keep it on your bed. That Christ is always beside me, before me, above me, behind me. And when you march for your ministry, the cross you keep it, but you take Jesus along with you in your mission and in your journey. From today you are not alone. You have a God with you. As David said, Goliath, I have not come on my own, but I have a God who is with me. From today you possess a God who loves you. 1 John 4:8 we read, our God is a God of love. First He has found love in you, and today God has fallen in love with you. Because you are going to be a neighbor to someone who is in need. And He has told you in the first reading of today from the book of Deuteronomy. You'll find people in front of you who are very, very poor. Do not make your heart hard-hearted. Do not make your heart stubborn. Do not close your fist, but open your hand and serve God in the poorest of the poor and in the needy. Today, yes, there are people who are marginalized. Today, there are people who are orphaned. Today, there are people who are disguised. Today, there are people who are wounded. Today, there are people who are suppressed. Today, there are people who are oppressed. And God will appoint you in the midst of all the suffering people that you may bring solace, that you may bring relief, that you may bring blessings, that you may bring miracle. It is not automatic that if I know the whole Bible, if I know whole of philosophy and theology, if I know all the liturgical rubrics, that qualifies me to become a neighbor. It's not automatic that every day I come to church, I know of God's mercy and forgiveness, that I would become a good neighbor. It is not automatic just by knowing what is loving, I become a neighbor to one. No. It's not enough to know. What is important is to act. The priest and the Levite, dignified person, knew everything, but they saw and they went away. But the Samaritan was not that dignified, but then he acted. You and I, as priests and religious, God has not called us to see, to sit down, to watch, to talk, but He has called us to be a man of action. He has called us to be a missionary. He has called us to be a neighbor. He has called us to walk a loving response of journey towards our brothers and sisters. And I end with this small incident. There was a priest who wanted to repair his church. He called upon his faithful and said, I want each one of you to lovingly, willingly, and cheerfully to come and hand over whatever you could give in generosity to the altar of God, and a table was placed. People all walked forward. Whatever they could contribute, they contributed. There was a lame girl who pulled herself up to the altar, and then she took out a ring that was on her finger. She took out the ring and she placed it on the table, and limping, she walked back. This was noticed by the parish priest. This was noticed by the parish council members. After the mass, the girl was called to the sacristy and said, my dear child, our people have been very, very generous. They have given more than what we wanted. And I saw what you did on the altar. You took out the ring and you gave it to the church. Please do not mind. I want to return this ring back to you. And the girl nodded her head in refusal and said, Father, please do not misunderstand me. The ring that I offered here just now is not to you. I gave it to my Jesus. My dear sister Anjali, my dear sister Jennifer, my dear sister Kushbu, and my dear sister Sanjalo, your giving of yourself today is not to your provincial, it's not to the Providence congregation, it's not to your community, but to the people of God whom God has chosen. And He has chosen with these two only commandments: love God and love neighbor. And He has not given you anything else. Love God and love neighbor. And today, 4 of you along with us, we have given ourselves to a Master who is hanging on the cross. He sacrificed His love for each and every wounded people, whose wounds are invisible today, whose wounds are not physical, but there is a wound which everyone is carrying in the spirit of their body. And my Master and your Master, to whose life we sacrifice and give today, is teaching us this lesson. Go and do likewise. I pray and I bless. God, call God, put a seal on you. Mark you today with the vows that you are going to make. May your journey be in faithfulness. May you always be surrounded in God's love. May the mantle of our Blessed Mother and of your patron Saint St. Luigi cover you. May saints, apostles, and martyrs always assist you in this journey. And may the Holy Spirit always guide you and fill you with God's love and His ministry. I wish you all the best. And a big congratulations to Sister Provincial. We're getting 4 sisters to 4 different communities who will be God's messenger, carrying God's mission and God's love. God bless each one of you.